Enjoy yourself. Let God speak to you. Let God heal you. Let God renew you. Let God wash you. Let God energize you. Let God enlighten you. Let God fill you with joy. Enjoy. That's what enjoy means. Joy in. Enjoy. Find the enjoyment in it. That is the heart of the gospel message. That is the passage that Mimi read. Be anxious in nothing. Rejoice in the Lord. Take joy in God. Be anxious in nothing, but in all things with prayer and thanksgiving, let your concerns be made known to God, and the peace of God will wash over you. Let us play. Let us pray. No, let us play. You see, the underlying assumption is, in my sermon, and this is the bigger picture, is that life itself is made for our enjoyment. Life is not just a job to be accomplished. It is not just a discipline to be mastered. It's a game to be played and enjoyed. Now, don't get me wrong. I am very big on duty and obligation and deferred gratification and all of that. That's how I've lived my whole life. But more and more, I understand that if the creativity and passion and enjoyment is missing from our lives, we will never be successful, we will never be fulfilled, and we will never be at peace. And God's grace will end up just being a reward for a job well done. And that's not what God's grace is. God's grace is a gift freely given that we're supposed to joyfully embrace. That's the nature of life, the way I see it. And I want to close with a parable. I read this a few years ago. It's still one of my favorite stories. And it highlights the fact that life was made for our enjoyment, and so many of us have so forgotten that. In the beginning, God didn't make just one or two people. He made a whole bunch of us because He wanted us to have a lot of fun. And He said, you can't really have fun unless there's a whole gang of you. So He put us all on this sort of playground paradise called Eden, and He said, enjoy. At first, we had all the fun in the world. We played all the time. We rolled down the hills. We frolicked in the grass. We waded in the streams. We swung on the vines. We laughed a lot. We acted silly. Then one day, this snake told us that we weren't really having any real fun because we weren't keeping score. Well, back then, we didn't even know what score was. When he explained it, we still couldn't see the fun in keeping score. But he said that we should give an apple to the person who was best at playing, and we'd never know who was the best unless we kept score. Well, we could all see the fun of that. We were all sure we were the best. So we started keeping score because we all wanted to get the apple the snake promised us. Well, it was different after that. We yelled a lot. We had to make up new scoring rules for most of the games that we played. Other games like frolicking, we just stopped because they were too hard to score. By the time God found out about our new fun, we were spending about 45 minutes a day in actually playing, and the rest of the time working out the score. God was upset about that. Very upset. He said that we couldn't use His garden anymore because we weren't having any fun. We said we were having fun, lots of fun. He shouldn't have gotten all upset just because it wasn't the kind of fun that He had in mind. But He wouldn't listen. He kicked us out and said we couldn't come back until we stopped keeping score. to rub it in, to get our attention. He told us that we were all going to die anyway and our scores didn't mean anything. He was wrong. My cumulative all-game score is now 16,548, and that means a lot to me. If I can just raise it to 20,000 before I die, I'll know I've accomplished something. Even if I can't, my life has a great deal of meaning because I've taught my children to score high. And they'll be able to score at least 20 or 30,000. I know they will. Really, it was life in Eden before we kept score that didn't mean anything. Oh, fun is great in its place, but without scoring, there's no reason for it. God has a very superficial view of life, and I'm glad that my children are being raised away from his influence. We were lucky to get out of that garden. We're all very grateful to the snake. Amen.